we've had a tremendous year, challenging year, but very exciting, I guess, overall. On the business side, just us, like many others or in our space, in the free ad-supported space, have had a very strong year. The adoption of consumers of free ad-supported TV has been tremendous. The scale's enormous. The engagement's increasing. Obviously, it's sort of sad to see it driven by the pandemic, but we're seeing people build new habits in the space around services like our own. On the Xumo side, and internally, of course, yes, we were acquired by Comcast just 3 weeks before we were all sent home because of the pandemic. So it's kept our hands, kept us busy. But it's been tremendous to have a company like Comcast at our side, who have, been very good at working with companies like us. They've done a lot of it, and have been just wonderful sort of partners, taking care of sort of all the worries that we might have had, and allowing us to really focus on our customers and focus on our partners. And scale is how scale has been there. Scale's interesting. It's one of those things. It's scale's great. It's lovely. I'd rather be growing fast, but scaling is also challenging. You've got to keep making sure that you're building for something a little bigger than what you might have imagined. And so it's been an interesting year.
So Colin, could you explain to us, in the pantheon of AVOD platforms, how Xumo fits in?
So Xumo is a two-part service. As I've said, Xumo is both a direct-to-consumer service with 200 plus channels, upwards of 10,000 free movies and TV shows. And Xumo is also an enterprise business where we've taken components of what we use for ourselves, but we also support partners either in a full turnkey type solution where we'll operate an entire platform on behalf of somebody, or run components of other people's services. So that we're doubly invested in this free TV space, not only for our own purposes, but also, helping servicing our partners, of which there are many. And so Xumo has been focused on both growing our owned and operated business, as we call it, the consumer facing. That's been tremendous growth this year, as well as bringing on board new partners and helping service both content and platforms alike in this space.
So tell us about the sales side of things. You've been early on to the programmatic world. Explain a little bit about the ad operations on the programmatic side for Xumo.
Programmatic's been vital to us, and has been right from the start. Programmatic and CTV has had the benefit, I guess, of seeing, and let the risk of overgeneralizing here, but there's the desktop display world, which then then mobile, the emergence of mobile, and CTV is sort of the third medium, as TV sets and boxes have become a primary way to consume video. And so we've been able to take a lot of the best of those previous ecosystems to build them into TV. Programmatic, of course, is vital in that, and we've also been able to refine it for that medium, for that for that purpose. And so we're seeing actually a relatively much quicker adoption from all sort of insertion order type spend in CTV move into programmatic. It's probably happening a little quicker because there's a lot of knowledge about how those other two sort of formats have preceded it.
Are there any interesting trends on the programmatic side that you think are promising, or you're looking into or embracing, around ad serving, header bidding, and ad breaks? How does innovation look around those topics?
So it's actually, and so it's in two parts. The infrastructure itself of how we deliver ads in a linear stream has, in terms of how a user might be exposed to, for example, pods, ad pods. How do you do an ad break? Is it better to do, how many ads do you serve in a break? How you get full rate? How you get different brands? You don't get the same type of ad showing up over and over. Certainly, the same ad showing over and over again is a tough problem to solve. But also, sort of brand adjacency. You don't want two hotel brands next to each other. And so there's been a lot of innovation and improvements in that space, but yet more work yet to be done. Zoom, the second part of that, though, is also the strategy of advertising in linear. Aside from when you get to an ad break, what do you do? The question of how you choose where to put an ad break. Do you use pre-roll? How many minutes do you wait between ad breaks? Do you use a pod or an individual ad? How does that work at different times of the day for different types of content, for live news versus an old movie? That's where we really have been spending a lot of our time. And then, and of course, similarly with the ad infrastructure itself. But how to adapt, and the world has been, traditional TV oriented, where you have a certain number of minutes and then an ad break of X number of ads and you resume. In streaming TV, it's a fresh start. You don't have to go with that preordained 8 minutes or 10 or 12 minutes of ads per hour. We can vary the ad strategy quite dramatically between an old art house movie, short form clips, which we've curated, live sports. And that's, we're having a lot of fun with that and sort of thinking about new ways to keep the customer engaged, make sure our advertisers are heard and sort of and reach their audiences and resonate with them, but make the service generate yield for our partners overall as well.
So in terms of making things relevant, how does identity and understanding the consumer help you run things more effectively?
Yeah, so it's an interesting one. So there's I was talking about the generations of advertising from desktop to mobile to TV. The CTV space is really reaching its stride at a time where we've also had a lot of privacy related initiatives reach maturity, the CCPA, GDPR. But across the board, sort of, thinking of, the CTV is maturing in a time where also attention to privacy is maturing. And I think this has caused a very, we've been able to take the best of the addressability, and take into account, work with partners that can provide an identity-based solution, but all the while protecting the privacy of our users and making sure that that's also, we're honoring our obligations in that space. So is an identity-based approach important? For some advertisers, yes. And do we support that? Yes, we have, and we have partners and we have solutions that can sort of provide that. But it's also, we have to be careful that, we have to walk, we have to be, no walk a fine line is the wrong way, but we have to honor our obligations to our consumers as well and make sure that that is, we've been in a privacy-friendly way, or privacy-sensitive way.
Great. And Colin, just a little bit, how do you see the road ahead for Xumo and for CTV and opportunities? What is the roadmap for you guys in particular?
I think this is just getting started, Andy. I think so. Free ad supported TV has, generation one was, short form clips strung together, into a linear fashion, and that sort of exploded. Generation two is traditional, TV brands embracing the space, working on linear and on demand, at big scale. There is no geographical boundary here. There is a global market that can be addressed. Consumers value this type of service enormously in a world where there's lots of subscription fatigue in some cases. It's an easy choice to make. If it's great quality content, we're seeing the engagement and the number of the audience adopt this at a very quick rate. And that allows even better content to come online and better in greater audiences. So I think the free ad supported TV element will reach, will continue to accelerate. And we were looking forward to a very, very exciting future ahead, I think.